Hello, welcome to 30 Minutes. I'm Rick Anthony. About a year ago, I attended a conference at the invitation of a friend of mine who was speaking at about 11 o'clock. And the subject was one in which he and I both have an intense interest, and it's the differences and the similarities between and among generations. He's written books on it, and I've taught a course at Villanova on it. At the end of his presentation, which was close to lunch, I was quietly, unobtrusively as I could, looking for an exit because so far as I was concerned, I had done what he asked me to do. I went to the meeting, I heard him speak. But just as I was about to leave my seat and head for the exit, I heard this booming voice from the front of the room. It caught my attention. Everybody else stopped what they were doing because all of a sudden there was a presence in the room. And that presence went on for 30 minutes with one of the best presentations I've ever heard by Jim Smith Jr. And I was smitten at the time. I've stayed in touch with Jim. We've had a very difficult time trying to coordinate schedules, but finally, welcome Jim to 30 Minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Pleasure to have you here. Jim, you're a performer. You have a gift, or you've learned how, one or the other, maybe a combination of the two, to grab people by the throat, to startle them, to get their attention, and then hold their attention for whatever period of time you need, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, to drive home the themes that I've heard you speak in your presentations, but I've also read in your books. And they have to do with personal power. They have to do with forgetting about all the things that pull you down and concentrate on the things that enable you to reach beyond your grasp, et cetera, et cetera. All inspirational stuff. Where did that come from? Are you naturally this way, or did it take you a while to get to the point where you're able to be helpful to other people using your voice?
I would say that a lot of it is natural. If you were to talk to my mom, she would say I was running my mouth before I learned how to cry. I came out of the womb talking. Over the years, I've learned to hone it or to use the correct form. And you think about someone who runs track. They can be very fast, but they're not their fastest until they learn the form. So naturally, they're born with that gift, but once they get coaching, they can really hone in on their craft. And I've gotten some coaching over the years, but primarily it's been watching other people, watching speakers, watching preachers, watching infomercials, watching teachers, watching professors, and through watching those individuals, you learn what to do and what not to do.
But what to do what? What's your goal?
My goal is to...
I read your mission on
when I'm
your
speaking,
website.
My goal is to create an informational and transformational experience. I find that a lot of speakers or teachers or pundits are very informational. My belief is that facts fade, stories stick. So if you're being transformational, you're creating stories, experiences where people can see themselves in what you're talking about.
Say that again. Facts
fade, stories stick. Now, my good friend Doug Stevenson, who does story theater, he coined that phrase, so I'm giving him credit for that. But facts fade, stories stick. If you come to hear me or any person speak, by the time you get home, you're going to forget a lot of the factual content. But the stories and the meanings and the lessons, they're going to last a long time.
Well, you're absolutely right, because I cannot tell you a year plus later exactly what you said, but I remember the impact it had on me, and it was your storytelling. Now, storytelling is an art.
Yeah. It's an art, and people believe that it's primarily telling the story, recounting the story. My goal and what I do and what I teach others is to relive the story as you're retelling the story. So if you're reliving, you're back there, you're feeling the pain, you're feeling the apathy, you're feeling the euphoria as you're recounting it. And you're doing what you did then in that moment. So they can see, it's the movie's playing and you're the leading actor.
Yeah.
For me to just give you the narrative, I can very quickly lose you.
But you're also very animated. in your storytelling. And
Again,
is
that's
that technique, or is that just the way you are?
it's the way I am.
I'm
However,
watching your hands now.
however, if you think about, I teach presentation skills. Some of the best presenters in the world don't use visual aids at all. And in this time of visual aid, PowerPoint,
Yes.
we rely on the visual aid. But if you think about stand-up comedians, they can go 2 hours, no PowerPoint, nothing, and you're sitting there, but pee your pants, you're laughing, you're like, I can see what they're saying.
Yeah.
So through my storytelling, my presentations, I mirror the message that I'm sharing.
But in the case of comedians, good storytellers, what seems spontaneous has taken hours, maybe years of preparation, so it looks easy, seems spontaneous.
I saw a video.
Don Rickles, for example, the impromptu. I really don't know how he prepared for his appearances on shows. He couldn't have possibly prepared, except maybe to take a couple of drinks.
Well,
so he was really loose.
It's the wit, it's the pithiness, it's knowing your subject inside and out.
Yes.
The prep is there. I saw a video, I think Tony Robbins was the MC in this part of the video, and he said most people are rewarded in public for what they do in private.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are rewarded in public for what they do in private. I spend a lot of time practicing my stories and practicing my positioning. If I think an angle shot is better, I'll turn in that moment so you can get the angle shot. If I feel it's time for a close-up, I'll walk into the group as if the camera's doing a close-up on me.
Yes.
I'm really attempting to create, again, an experience so that here's my fish model. The I in the fish model stands for I, the learner, I, the audience member. I need to F, feel your message, S, see your message, and H, hear your message. I teach the folks when I do presentation skills, go fishing. I, the audience member, needs to feel what you're saying, see what you're saying, and hear what you're saying. And I'm quite sure you've heard someone say, yo, man, you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Well, I want to be able to create a platform so that you can see, in fact, what I'm saying.
Good stuff. I receive your emails. I think they're weekly.
Every Monday to start you off, and every Thursday to help finish your week.
I think this week's was Follow the Breadcrumbs.
Follow the breadcrumbs.
Yes. And as I read them, and other people, I was going to say like you're incomparable, but other people who do similar things.
Sure.
There's an entrepreneur I know who sends out weekly inspirational messages for aspiring entrepreneurs. But where does the material come from? These are little, short, 500 words maybe, that have a lot of impact. Where does the material come from so that you're able to come up with stuff that most people can identify with?
Every single day happenings. If I experience something, and I believe there's a metaphor there, there's a story there, smartphone comes out, I'll call my office line, leave a message and detail what happened. Or I'll pull out my notepad app and I'll type what happened. And then when I get back to the office, record what happened, the lesson, and the call to action. Let me give you an example. I remember one Thanksgiving, I saw all the food that was on the table. I'm like, this is gonna be good. And I sat down and I'm going for it. I'm going for it. And I'm full. Then I remember just pushing back from the table. And I thought, journal in life. What do you get full of? And it's time for you to move away from. It's time for you to push back from. Is it a job? Is it a relationship? Is it a team where you are so full of the years or the meetings or the hours? It's time to move away.
Where did breadcrumbs come from?
Well, breadcrumbs, if you go back to whatever fable where, was it Hansel and Gretel, where you followed the breadcrumbs and they took you someplace? Well, people in life put down breadcrumbs where their patterns, their behaviors are easy to follow. And I think when Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. So we're following the breadcrumbs. We're attempting at some point to help them navigate a different journey, but that's not where they want to go. They want to keep going the same way. So if you see that, I believe you should never want more for someone than they want for themselves. And I believe sometimes as mentors, as coaches, or as educators, we want so much for them. But if you follow those breadcrumbs don't indicate that that's where they want to go.
Yes.
So at some point, you got to take your foot off the gas.
It's hard to let go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with our children
Oh boy.
or grandchildren.
Oh boy. Yes. Yes.
What's your personal story? Where did you start? What preceded the launching of your company in 2002?
Well, thank you, Will Smith. West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playgrounds where I spent most of my days. I'm from West Philadelphia. I attended Henry C. Lee and Russell Conwell grade school. Went to University City High School in the University City area. Went to Widener University, undergrad in English. Went to Temple University, my master's in journalism. In between that time, several corporate gigs. After graduating from college, a few pro football tryouts. It didn't work. But falling in love with English, falling in love with talking. Initially, my goal was to play pro football, write for Sports Illustrated, come back to my high school and teach English and coach the football team. Didn't quite work out that way. First job with Prudential. My second job was with the Vanguard Group.
Always in sales?
Never in sales. It was in my first job was in marketing as a copywriter. And our client at the time was AARP. I'm now a proud member of AARP, but when I started, I think I was 23 years old. Left the Vanguard Group, Core States Bank, I was vice president of business learning resources. But most of my jobs from 87 on were talent development, employee development, training, coaching, management development. In 1998, Core States was acquired by First Union Bank. And at that time, I'd already gotten the entrepreneur bug, because a lot of vendors would come in to do work for us. Like, I want to do that. That's nice. Ooh, okay. And I finally had a one-on-one with one. And fortunately, he took me under his wing. He said, you want to do some subcontract work? I'm like, what's that? He explained it to me, got approval from my boss, and I would work a 4-day work week once a month, working the equivalent hours, or taking a personal day or a vacation day, and I would travel around the country doing sessions for this guy. This is what I want to do.
Training sessions.
Training. It was diversity training. And I said, this is what I want to do. In 98, when we were acquired, at my level, I would get 6 months salary, 6 months benefits to say goodbye. Had folks on my team, I made sure they all got placed. And I went into my boss and I said, listen, I like the package. And no, Jim, we don't want to lose you. And from a demographic standpoint, I was one of few African Americans in the senior level position, and that would really skew the demographics. But I was able to convince him that the next chapter in my life was elsewhere. I took the package, had 6 months to really find another avenue to do that. I ended up working for 3 additional consulting firms up until 2002.
All in training, diversity training?
Diversity training, creative training tech. Actually, it was 2 diversity training firms, and one out of Minnesota that focused on adult learning, creative training techniques, and so forth. And in 2002, I said it's time for me to launch, at the time, Jimpact Enterprises. I impacted you. My name is Jim. Put them together. Jimpact Enterprises. In 2013, I changed the name to Jim Smith Jr. International. A lot of my colleagues and friends and coaches said, you are the brand.
Yes.
You are the brand.
Good counsel.
Changed the name of the company. Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Wayne Dwight, they're the brand. I said, Jim, you're the brand.
You have spoken around the country, I know that, as a trainer, as a motivational speaker, as a coach, and around the world. And so it occurred to me as I was preparing for this visit with you today, Again, how do you're talking one day, you're presenting one day, visiting with folks in Saudi Arabia, China, Taiwan. How do you prepare for that? What do you have to know about your audience? Were they all English speaking, or were there translators involved or interpreters?
I would say 85% of the audiences, regardless of where I was, spoke English.
But still culturally
Oh
different.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
When I was in Istanbul, the session had translators. When I was in Saudi,
Yeah.
translators. But here's one thing.
But in some cultures, your assertiveness, the way you attack a subject or an audience, is verboten. It's not the way they behave.
Eventually, I'm going to get you into the left lane where all the traffic is, where the people will
Okay.
drive fast. Eventually. But initially, depending on your culture, will determine how fast we take off. And people began to feel my sincerity, my vulnerability, my spirit. I believe if you feel someone's
Yes.
well-intentioned,
Yes.
you're more likely to give them a longer leash than someone who's egotistical. You're going to come here and drive it and be more didactic. They feel the sincerity. And I pull them along slowly, baby step, baby step. All right, you're in the water now, you're in. And they know I'm there to help them as well. Beijing, Shanghai, Sydney, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, those places, Oslo, Norway, Bangalore, India, a different approach. But when they feel, yeah, he's well-intentioned, jump at me.
Yeah.
And we're doing things that are so American after a while, but I honor their culture, I honor their traditions, and I give them choices, another way for you to consider to do what you currently do.
Tell me about boot camp. That must be fun.
It's a 2-day, it's billed as 2 days of presentation skills, facilitation skills, how to deal with challenging presentation situations. It's for trainers and managers, anyone who has to engage an audience. That's what it's billed as. They walk out of there not knowing what happened. If you've ever seen the movie The Matrix, where Neo, once he realized he was the one, he was able to go inside and just really, well, that's what I do. I believe that in order to be a great presenter, it's a combination of skill and will. And you're not going to take the skill on until we work on the will. Because a lot of people are afraid to present.
Yes.
The first module is basically taking the patient, laying him or her on the table, and going in to operate. Insecurity, vulnerability, lack of confidence. You're afraid of management in the room. You're afraid of large audiences. And by the time all right, now let's go on skills. And people walk out saying, I'm going to be a better father, a better wife, a better husband, a better team player, because he taught me things about me, patterns that I'd be repeating that show up every time I present.
But it still doesn't eliminate the jitters. You must still get the jitters when you walk on stage.
I get the jitters 100% of the time, which is why.
For the first 30 seconds.
Well, sometimes a
then
little
you're
longer.
launched. Then you're launched.
Well, depending on how the story unfolds.
Yeah.
I begin every presentation with the story. Why? Because I've already done it.
Yeah.
I don't have to memorize it. I can just recount and relive. And somewhere along the line in that story is when the nerves go away.
Yes.
And I'm rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
But every presentation, whether it's one-on-one in front of 1,000 people, there is a degree of nervousness, which reminds me, I'm doing what I should be doing in life.
You?
I'm doing what I should be doing.
Yeah.
My gift.
Again, I noted in what I saw, some of your videotapes and in your books, as a presenter, you talk about coming out from behind the podium.
Yeah.
First step, get out from behind the podium. Your admonition about PowerPoint and audiovisuals. In the Entrepreneurs Network, the venue I have,
Yes.
we don't allow PowerPoint.
Yes.
If an entrepreneur can't stand there for 20 minutes, hands at his or her side, and give their expanded elevator pitch, they shouldn't be in the game.
Yeah. We tend to show up and throw up.
They read from the screen.
Verbal vomit.
Yeah.
If we're not impassioned about what we're talking about, then we shouldn't be talking about it.
I agree.
If you go to a concert, they're up there jamming it. But at some point,
Yeah.
they leave the stage and they come into the
Yeah.
audience and they rock
Yeah.
it with the audience. I like rocking it with the audience.
You're an author as well. You've written 3 books.
Three books,
Is there a
co-authored
fourth in the
fourth.
offing? There is a fourth coming?
I co-authored another,
Okay.
but there is a fourth. However, I put it on hold until I get through this doctorate degree.
That's right. You're going for your doctorate in business.
Yes.
Why business? Why not psychology or something that's more aligned with what you do?
Because that would be me being in my comfort zone.
Good deal. Okay, I
My
understand.
undergrad's English, master's in journalism. I'm a writer.
Yeah.
So for me to do psychology or communication skills, as a business owner, I begin to feel as though I plateaued. I've never had a scholarly business course. No stats, no business, no economics, and I've been running a business for 15 years.
Yeah.
I said, I want to get into my discomfort zone. I'm one of few of the non-MBAs in my program, and I'm learning a great deal, and my business is already doing better as a result.
I thought you might be preparing yourself to teach at the college
That
or
too.
university level. Well, you
That
have
too.
to have the PhD.
It's a combination of wanting to get smarter,
Yeah.
sharpen my saw,
Yeah.
wanting to become a professor, wanting to have, as I get older and traveling's becoming not as
Oh, yes.
fun as it used to be,
Yes.
some sort of semblance of security,
Stability.
stability, and during any type of business cycle, sometimes it's feast or famine. By me being a professor and working with the students,
You're anchored.
I'm anchored. And,
Economically and emotionally, you're anchored.
and the older I get, the more
You-
anchored I want to become.
You are a writer as well as a presenter, a performer. Do you prefer one over the other? They obviously complement one another. I love your writing style. You obviously enjoy writing.
I
Yeah.
do. I call it write speak because I write the way I speak.
Yes.
I love them both. Maybe it's seasonal because there are times where I just want to write. I
Yes.
just want to be still and share my thoughts. Then there are times when I just want to get out there and just be out there and uplift and push and love on you and get you to see that you could be doing more.
Okay, so you're an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And as you know, with successful entrepreneurial ventures are scalable. How is your venture scalable?
The product sales,
The books,
the
the
books,
videotapes, and so
the
on.
coaching. I do a lot of executive coaching. The blog, Jim's Journal, keeps me on the person's radar screen.
Right.
And actually, it's something that one of the reasons I did go back to school, I want to learn more about becoming more scalable. Because there are a lot of people who make a lot of mailbox money
Absolutely.
where they are
Nice going to the mailbox. They're checks.
they're sleeping, they're home, they're
Yeah.
drinking their mimosas, and they're making they're making a lot of money. And I want to be able to do that, where I'm leveraging the information that we're giving more.
There's a chap I know whom I've known for over 30 years, and he's an expert in gerontology. His company is called Age Wave. His name is Dr. Ken Dykewald. He's been phenomenally successful as an expert in aging in place, and so on. He's done television shows. He works with the biggest brands in the country. The point is, the way he is scalable is he has a number of disciples who go out with essentially the same message.
That's good.
They don't command as much money as he does,
That's good.
but they go out with essentially the same message. And now he's brought his son in, who is really talking about the millennials, because he is one, whereas Ken is talking more about boomers, because he is one, and somehow they meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And they've had some interesting dialogue between the two of them,
It's
differences of
comparable
opinion.
to a model that I'm replicating. My daughter just graduated from Temple, and she's going to grad school. But when she finishes her PhD, because I want her to
Right.
keep going straight through, she's going to come on board with me.
Great.
And she's a millennial, and I'm that boomer as well.
Yeah.
It is a different dialogue
Yes.
because we don't see the world the same way.
Not at all. Although I'm somewhat of an expert in the generational differences and so on, having taught courses, and I won't go into all of that. But the point is, millennials seem to become more baby boomer-like as they get older, and boomers become more millennial-like as they get older.
Very good.
It's
Maybe
an
I'm-
interesting
I'm in
phenomenon.
my millennial place
Yeah.
because I don't want to sit down.
How do people learn more about Jim Smith Jr. International?
A couple ways. They can certainly go to our website, which is www.jimsmithjrjrintl.com. You can find me, of course, on social media. There's Twitter, there's LinkedIn, there's Facebook. Old-fashioned, pick up the phone and call, 484-721-6768. YouTube, there's a YouTube channel.
You're all over the place.
I guess I have to be.
Yeah.
The way things are.
Do you have an agent, or do you handle your own bookings?
I have folks on the team who handle that. I also have a publicist who helps get arrangements once another book is out. We're working on a few projects. We really want to get on TV and on the radio as another way of scalability and reinventing myself. And again, I mentioned that traveling is not as...
It's no fun.
I used to be able to do 2 flights in one day, 3 flights, 3 cities, 2 cities.
Jim, I remember in my younger days flying to the coast for lunch.
Wow.
And then taking the red eye back and thinking nothing of it. Yeah. You did what you had to do. I wouldn't even think of it today.
And it's the travel, but it's also the people. There's a more angry traveler these days. I agree
with you more.
So it's dealing with
in the air and on the ground, whether you're in a car or an airplane these days. You take your life into your hands. Road rage. We could go. Well, that gets in. We could have an off-camera discussion about this, but there are so many niches, I think, for people like you who can carry a message to people to help diffuse some of the triggers that create violence and death and misunderstandings and the extremism we see, and try to bring those sides together through humor.
Because we listen defensively.
Yeah. We do, to protect our own prejudices and bigotry, yes.
And we receive your message as, oh, you're coming after me.
Yeah.
Where at times, I just want to understand why you said that. I just want to learn so that I can position myself not to move you to a place of angst or insecurity.
In my class, I tell my students there are 2 very powerful phrases, particularly if you're in a conflictive situation. One is, help me understand. And the other is, how can I help? How can anybody possibly refuse either one of those?
Yeah.
Help me understand, how can I help?
How can I help?
Yeah.
And oftentimes when you ask, how can I help? The person goes speechless because...
Exactly, it's disarming.
They're
not prepared for that.
And they're not used to people asking them, how can I help?
Yeah.
It's a new day.
Yeah.
But there again, it creates opportunities for people like you and me to bring our magic into their life to create more miracles.
I don't have any magic. You've got the magic. It took us months to finally get together. Are you going to have as hectic a schedule as you have in the past?
Yeah.
I saw from your website you're all over the country again.
We're beginning to do more conferences, more organizational chapter conferences. I do work for what's called ATD, Association for Talent Development.
Yes.
We have upcoming sessions in Portland, in Oklahoma City, in South Carolina. School is picking up again in the fall.
You do much college work, campus work?
Not as much as I'd like to, but I do work with the Rutgers University Executive MBA program.
Right.
I do work with the Temple University Fox School of Business Executive MBA program and MBA program. So I'm getting the colleges in.
Right.
The organizations I work with toward the third and fourth quarter, they realize, let's finish with a bang. I typically finish pretty busy third and fourth quarters.
Well, this has been grand. I really appreciate your coming over. It was worth the wait, and maybe we can do it again sometime soon. Maybe when the next book comes out.
Done. Thank you. Thank you very much.
My guest today has been Jim Smith Jr. of Jim Smith Jr. International, someone I heard a year or so ago, made such an impression. I bugged him for almost a year to get on schedule with him. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Until next time, this is 30 Minutes. I am Rick Anthony. Take very good care of yourselves.